Hey yoga friends, I wanted to take just a couple minutes to share with you the differences between teaching yoga in a yoga studio versus a gym versus some other context. So I go into this in more detail in my book that's coming out. It's called Yoga Sequencing Secrets. If you go to yogasequencingsecrets.com, you can get a free PDF sample of a outline to plan a yoga practice. So I would say like yoga studio is often considered like the ideal yoga teaching situation, right? Because there are all of the props associated with yoga that are usually available and in ample quantities. So things like blankets, blocks, straps, chairs. Some places have tons of stuff to help assist with different kinds of postures and practice. And then if you're teaching in a gym, you might not have access to all of those things. Maybe you do, which is great if you've got all of the props and tools available. But the other thing that's often challenging about teaching in a gym is that there can be a lot of noise associated. So it could be sounds of dropping weights, there could be loud music playing outside, and the sort of vibe of a gym could make it so that people are coming and going in and out of the room, or just make a lot of traffic that can create distractions. And so when you know that there's a lot of distractions in the environment you're teaching, you might spend a little extra time doing some warm-up and preparation for the practice. So a little bit more dynamic movement, a little bit more cueing and coaching about how to focus your attention on the practice and in the present moment. And then when it gets around to the end of the practice, it also can be helpful, instead of choosing one or two postures towards the end to hold for a long time, instead plan a sequence of shorter postures so that will allow people to experience some of the more restful positions like forward bends or twists or other supine postures, without creating a huge amount of time for people to start to get distracted by the sound again. So a little bit shorter holds, but still the same amount of time in those more restful and calming positions. And then like those are probably the most two common contexts for teaching yoga, but you could take a yoga class or teach a yoga class just about anywhere. Libraries, community centers, in people's homes. I rent space in a little wellness office where there's both a little bit limited space and definitely limited props, but it also sort of mimics the environment where people practice at home, which is what I'm equipping people to do. And so if you have limited props, then you might want to make sure that when you're planning a sequence that you allow for simpler postures or simpler variations of postures where people can feel included, because there isn't going to be anything in the practice that people just can't do. And you can also get creative and make use of walls and chairs for props. So if you're in a community center, you might not even have a mat, but you have access to walls and chairs. So when you're planning your sequence for a practice, just make sure that you plan some variations using those props that are available, and also make considerations for the time and space in which you're practicing. So I'd love to hear where are you teaching that might be a little bit weird or interesting or presented some challenges. And if you want more detail about how to adapt practices for different contexts, then you can check out my book, Yoga Sequencing Secrets, available at yogasequencingsecrets.com. Bye.